Welcome back to Fright Note, where we share the creepiest letters exactly as they were sent to us. Tonight's letter comes from someone who reached out after watching our stories about people getting trapped in places they were never meant to enter. They wrote to us because something happened to them along a highway that cuts through the darkest forests in Northern California. A place you might have driven yourself. A place that's beautiful in daylight, but becomes something else entirely once the sun goes down. This is their story. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next terrifying letter. Now, let's begin. Dear Fright Note, I never thought I'd be one of those people writing into a horror channel. I'm a pretty normal guy, or at least I used to be. But I saw your video about the guy who ran into his own double in that abandoned factory, and it triggered something in me. Because last summer, something happened on the Redwood Highway that I can't explain. It was early July. I was driving from Crescent City toward Grants Pass on Highway 199, planning to cut over to visit a friend in Medford. I'd done that drive plenty of times. It's beautiful in daylight. Winding roads, towering redwoods, ferns taller than people. But I made a stupid mistake. I thought I could make it all the way without stopping for gas. By the time I realized how low my tank was, it was close to midnight. The gas light had been on for about 30 miles, and I kept praying the highway would spit me out into civilization any second. But all I got was darkness. The trees closed in on both sides of the road like a tunnel. My headlights barely lit more than a few yards ahead, and there was this fog rolling in from the coast, floating between the trunks like ghosts. I finally pulled over on a narrow shoulder. My car shuddered and died. The silence was absolute. No passing cars, no night insects. Just wind moving through leaves high above me. I checked my phone. No service, not even a single bar. I tried to stay calm. I thought, okay, worst case, I'll sleep here until morning. But then I remembered I'd left my water bottle at a rest stop hours earlier. My throat was dry, and my head was starting to pound from staring at the highway for so long. I got out, hoping maybe I'd see headlights in the distance. But there was nothing, just that wall of redwoods. I decided to walk a little way down the road. Maybe there was a mile marker, a ranger station sign, anything that might tell me how far I was from help. But after maybe 10 minutes, I saw something weird. Through a gap in the trees, off to my right, I noticed a faint light deeper in the woods, yellowish, flickering like an old bulb. It felt wrong immediately. But when you're desperate and thirsty, you'll do things you swore you'd never do. I left the highway and stepped into the trees. The forest swallowed me fast. The air changed the deeper I went. It smelled old, like wet wood and rust and something else underneath it, like medicine or chemicals. The light bobbed further ahead, and I kept telling myself, probably a cabin or a campsite. Just ask to use the phone. I pushed through ferns, climbed over a fallen log, and finally stepped into a small clearing. And that's when I saw it. An old wooden cabin stood in the middle of the clearing. One window glowed yellow, but the rest of the cabin was shadowed and sagging, as if it might collapse at any second. The wood looked almost black, wet from fog. I thought I heard a radio playing inside, a faint, tinny voice. Something about a highway accident. But the signal kept cutting out. I was about to call out when I realized there was an old gas pump beside the cabin. One of those antique ones you'd see in a 1950s diner. Red, rusted, with the numbers stuck halfway through flipping over. It was impossible. Why would there be a gas pump here? That's when I noticed someone in the window. A shape moved behind the yellow glow. I couldn't see a face, just a silhouette. I swallowed hard, stepped closer, and said, "Hello? I'm out of gas. Can I use your phone?" The shadow stopped moving. The radio crackled louder. "They're still waiting out there. They're still waiting out there." Then silence. The shadow turned and seemed to look right at me. And somehow, I know this sounds insane, I felt it smile. I tried to speak again, but a wave of dizziness hit me so hard my knees buckled. My vision went dark around the edges. Before I blacked out, I heard a voice whispering from behind me, close enough to feel breath on my neck. "You should have stayed on the road." I woke up lying flat on the highway shoulder. My car was gone. No sign it had ever been there. My phone said 517 I staggered down the road until a ranger picked me up near Hiuchi. They said they'd been searching for a missing hiker all night, but had found no sign of me or my vehicle. No one believed me about the cabin or the pump. They said maybe I'd fallen asleep and dreamed the whole thing. But the worst part was this. When I finally got a ride back to Crescent City, I found my car parked in the lot of my motel. Tank completely full. Keys on the front seat. After that night, I tried convincing myself it was a hallucination. Sleep deprivation, dehydration, highway hypnosis. That's what people told me. And for a while, I managed to believe it. Except I couldn't explain the car. It was spotless when I found it, like it had been freshly washed. The floor mats were vacuumed. The gas tank was full. My keys sat neatly on the passenger seat, and there was a faint smell in the interior that I'd never noticed before. A smell like old wood and antiseptic. It reminded me of that cabin in the clearing. I drove home trying not to think about it, but as the redwood trees fell away in my rearview mirror, I kept feeling like someone was sitting behind me in the back seat. I kept checking the mirror, expecting to see a shape where there was nothing. A week went by. Then little things started happening. First, I found pine needles on my living room floor. Long red-brown needles, the kind you'd only get from the deep woods. I hadn't been hiking. I hadn't even left town. I vacuumed them up. The next night, I woke up at 2:47 a.m. too, a sound that chilled me to my core. The faint ding-ding of an old gas station bell. The kind that rings when you drive over a rubber hose. But I live on the second floor of an apartment complex. There's no driveway, no bell. It echoed softly, as if coming from under my bed. I tried to brush it off. until I saw the man in my hallway. It was a Tuesday. I'd stayed up late watching TV, trying to keep my mind busy. Around 1:30 a.m., I got up to use the bathroom. As I turned the corner into my dark hallway, I saw someone standing at the far end. At first, I thought it was a burglar, but then I realized he was wearing old clothes, a denim work shirt, suspenders, dusty work boots. His hair was short and slicked back. His skin was as pale as candle wax. He wasn't moving, just standing there, and he was wet, like he'd just come in from heavy fog. I said, "Hello?" in this tiny voice I didn't recognize. The man tilted his head slowly, like he was studying me, and then he smiled. His teeth were too white, too perfect, like the fake teeth you'd see in a mannequin's mouth. And then he said something in a voice that crackled like an old radio. "Pump's ready." Then he blinked, and he was gone. Just gone. I stood in my hallway for a full minute, my hand shaking so hard my knuckles clicked. 2 days later, I went to the gas station in town, determined to feel normal again. The sun was out. People were laughing at the next pump over. The world felt ordinary. I pulled up to the pump, got out, and reached for the handle, and stopped, because taped to the side of the pump was a single strip of paper. White, slightly stained, torn at the edges. Written on it in shaky black marker was, "Stay off the highway." No name, no explanation. I ripped it off, heart pounding, and looked around. But no one seemed to notice. No one was watching me. I tried asking the cashier about it, but she just stared at me blankly and said, "What paper?" A few nights later, the dreams began. In the dreams, I'm back on Highway 199, fog thick as milk, the trees rising on either side like walls of black stone. And ahead of me in the darkness is the cabin. Its window still glows yellow. The door creaks open, and I feel pulled forward, like my feet are moving without my brain's permission. Inside, it's dim, smells like gasoline and mildew. Shelves are stacked with old oil cans, dusty bottles, cracked license plates. But the worst part is the radio sitting on a counter. It hisses with static, and through the crackling I hear, "There's no leaving until you pay the price." And then I see the gas pump standing in the middle of the cabin, as if it's been dragged inside. Rust streaks down its sides. The numbers on its dial spin wildly. And standing next to it is the man from my hallway. He smiles again, that mannequin smile. "Tank's full," he says. "Now it's your turn." That's when I wake up. Always at 3:17 a.m. it's been. 3 months. The dreams still come, and sometimes I wake up with my car keys in my hand, even though I left them on the kitchen counter. Once, I woke up standing in my apartment parking lot, in my socks, staring at my own car. My tank was half full when I went to bed. Now it was full again. But here's the part that finally made me write to you. This morning, I found a receipt tucked under my windshield wiper. The paper was thin, almost transparent. Printed on it was, "Make file copy edit receipt, Redwood gas pump number 3 gallons, 0.00. Total, $0 paid in full. And under that, thanks for stopping in. Come back soon. I haven't driven the Redwood Highway again. I don't think I ever will. But sometimes when I close my eyes, I swear I hear the ding-ding of the gas station bell and someone whispering, "Next time, you won't leave alone." I don't care if people say I'm crazy. If you're ever driving Highway 199 at night, keep your tank full. And if you see a light off the road, don't follow it. Because I think something out there keeps a tab. And sooner or later, it comes to collect. Letter sent anonymously to Fright Note. And that's the letter we received about the Redwood Highway. A highway many people drive every day, never realizing what might be waiting in the dark just beyond the trees. Do you believe there's really a cabin hidden off Highway 199? Or is it just a story born from fear and exhaustion on an empty road? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you have a terrifying story of your own, about places you shouldn't have entered, or things that followed you home, send it to us. You might just hear it here on Fright Note next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss the next letter. Until then, stay safe out there. And whatever you do, keep your tank full.